저의 불찰로.
I will step down from my position according to the law once a way is formed to pass on the administration in a stable manner that will also minimize political unrest and vacuum after ruling an opposition party's discussion.
CNN's Paula Hancock is in Seoul. She joins us now. And Paula, is this surprise announcement enough to placate the angry protesters who have for weeks been calling for her to step down?
Well, Christy, this speech really took quite a lot of people by surprise. She effectively had two options given to her by opposition leaders. They said either you step down or we'll impeach you. But what President Park has done is she's gone for a third option, which no one had predicted, which is to say, well, if Parliament says I should go, then I will resign. So what she's done is she's put the ball in Parliament's court, in the National Assembly's court, but of course now everyone's scrambling to figure out the legalities of this, the technicalities. Can lawmakers tell a president to leave if a president hasn't themselves said that they will resign? So it's some people say it may be playing for time. Experts are certainly assuming that's what she's doing, maybe trying to avoid impeachment, which opposition leaders have said that they would start that process this week. What it hasn't done, as you ask, is placate protesters. Hundreds of thousands of people have been on the streets. The organisers say they will continue to be on the streets until she actually clearly resigns. That is not what they believe she's done today, and in many ways she's actually annoyed protesters more than placating them. Christy?
You know, it's an interesting game of political chess here. Now we have President Park saying she will resign if that's what Parliament wants, and it appears that Parliament does want this, as lawmakers are prepping an impeachment vote against her. So what could happen next?
Well, that's what everyone's trying to figure out, because of course the legalities is it's not so simple for lawmakers to just say, yes, you have to step down. That is effectively what an impeachment process is. But we have been hearing from local media over recent days, some of the more elder statesmen within South Korea, some of those potentially closer to Park Geun-Hye have said that she has to find a way of stepping back with honour, with a bit more dignity rather than being impeached. Potentially this is an attempt at doing that. But opposition leaders at this point will be scrambling to try and find out what they can do. And of course, there is unity among opposition parties at this point as they're trying to get rid of President Park. As soon as it gets to the point where they have to put their candidates forward, there will not be that kind of unity, clearly. So it's very uncertain at this point what exactly happens next. I think the next couple of days will be interesting. Friday was potentially going to be a day when the impeachment process started. It may not start. It's really unclear what exactly has changed after this speech. There was another apology, but not enough to placate people on the street.
So the next move here, we really don't know. But in the event that Park Geun-Hye steps down, who could take her place?
Well, there have been a number of names that have been put forward. The leaders of the opposition parties, former leaders of the opposition party. Moon Jae-in, for example, a former leader who actually was up against President Park Geun-Hye in the most recent presidential election and lost to her. Even Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, his name has been offered up in local media. He is, of course, South Korean. He's a former South Korean foreign minister. His tenure at the UN ends at the end of this year. And he had been touted as a potential successor for President Park Geun-Hye. But, of course, it's very difficult to know exactly who the majority of opposition parties will rally behind. As I say, they're united now because they have a united desire to see the back of President Park Geun-Hye. When it actually comes to one of them taking control of the presidency, there's likely to be far more political infighting, far more campaigning, and of course it could take many months before we know who the next president will be.
All right, Paula Hancock's reporting on the latest political turmoil there in South